Today, I would just like to take this time to share with us. This is the topic. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. It was quite funny because when my wife found out that I was going to share, she became very worried for me because she knows that, wow, I will go through a series of, meditation, thinking, frustration, and it can be quite anxious for me. Just now, Brother Frederick was saying, hey, you teacher, this should be quite okay for you, right? Yeah, then I was telling him, teacher, you can scold the students, right? Here, better not, all right? Yeah, so it's quite an anxious time for me when I've been assigned this particular role. So she will always ask me, she'll always, hey, so has the Lord spoken to you? What's the topic that you are going to talk about? And then I will just tell her, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. So she can't tell, right? So do you know that this was the topic? No, until today. So I deliberately hide. I did it at night without her. And then whenever she asked me, hey, so what's the topic? I still haven't found. So there are some areas in my life that I'm the same as my brother. We love to irritate our soulmate. So there's some commonality, right? Right. So Sally, take note, okay? Yeah, it runs in our blood. We are irritating. And speaking about my soulmate, I grew up in a so-called dysfunctional kind of a family. Dad was absent most of the time. We will have a meal once a year, Chinese New Year, And so most of the time, it's just me and Mom. And as you heard from Pastor, I love to stay at home, and my brother is not at home. Okay, he has a free spirit. He's 10 years older than me, so he's always out there, So all the attention that my mom had was on me, and we had a very difficult relationship. So that's how I grew up. And because of that, I suspect that was why, deep down inside my heart, since young, I've been hoping and searching and looking for a soulmate. And that's why this particular mythology that Plato wrote about captivated me. And I began this search for a soulmate since I was a young child. According to this mythology, human beings were actually created with two faces, 4 hands and 4 legs. And then they were separated, by Zeus at the start. And then they spent the rest of their life looking for each other. And that was, I didn't believe in the myth, but that was something so romantic and beautiful for me. Subconsciously, I bought it. And I was blessed to find a soulmate in my wife, irritating her. And she has no way to run to, right? So you can imagine, I think about 4 years ago when we found out that Samantha has cancer, that thing that I was putting my hope and my search and my meaning for in my whole life, my soulmate, to discover that any time God could take her home. That was a big wake-up call for me to help me think about our relationship as husband and wife, my meaning in life, me putting everything that I believe as a purpose, as a meaning into my spouse, as what I hope for and live for in life. I think at that moment it shattered, because even though today, by God's grace, she has completed her chemo. Well, one thing that we learn is that God can take us home anytime, whether we have cancer or not, And that began my journey after being a Christian for so many years, to rethink about what I put my purpose, my hope, my meaning in life. Somehow I start to realize, sorry, my dear wife, that even though we are married, at times I still feel that something is missing. Not that you are not good enough. It's, it's because really there's something that is missing. Even as a Christian, why do I have this sense of loss or this thing that is missing. And these are the things that I ask myself daily, I search for. And, and I have the privilege as a teacher for about 20 years, teaching young folks. And one of the things that we talk about a lot of time is that outside of academics, they will come and they will ask me, Mr. Hon, what do you think is the meaning in life? Why am I doing all this? What's my purpose studying? And it's always picked during the exam season, right? Yeah. So part of my job requires me to provide counseling. I'm part-time teaching and part-time counseling. And next week, because this week, you guys just went through your exam, right? So next week, actually, I'm fully booked to see students. And a lot of times after exams, the thing that they share and talk about was, why am I doing this? You know? That's one type of students. They really don't know why they are here in school. They don't really know what is their purpose in life. They don't really search for. And then finally, we have another group of students who are very motivated. And then you ask them, why you are so motivated? Surely you must have something to work towards too. And their answer many a times was, because everyone else is doing it. Right, the Singapore, go to secondary, take your O-level, take your A-level, take your diploma, take your degree, find a job, get married. Find a job, buy a HDB flat, get married. Right, that's what everyone goes through. And a lot of time we find that our youth, our next generation, don't really think deeper about why they are doing what they are doing. Okay, and that's what I discovered. Not just me, I'm also searching, but my students, our next generation are also searching. So today I hope that perhaps we can find what we are looking for. I'm going to read from a few passages from the Bible and look at how people from ancient times were searching and whether they could find what they were looking for. The first story I'm going to share on will be taken from Jeremiah 28 to Jeremiah 29. Now this text was recorded during the time where the Israelites were in exile. They were exiled to this particular country known as the Babylon. You need to understand that this is the way that the Babylonians treat their captives. The Babylonian Empire was big and at that time, it was under King Nebuchadnezzar. His style of subjugating or controlling or conquering his empire was that whichever country or nation that he would come into control or take over by force, what he does is that he will exile a large group of these people from wherever they are to Babylon. This is his way of weakening the structure, the social structure, the military strength of this particular nation or country. That was how he continued to hold power over all these nations. So we have Israel here about 600 BC. And they were taken over by the Babylonians. And it took about 10 years for the Babylonians to exile most of the Israelites from Jerusalem to Babylon. And it was in two waves. The first wave were made up of the kings, the nobles, the artisans, the military leaders, the teachers of the law. So the elites, what we are saying, those people who enjoyed their life in Israel, those people who had power, those people who had tradition, who know what it means to be an Israelite. These were not the common folks. So you can imagine how they felt in the first few years while they were in Babylon. In fact, it was recorded in Psalms 137. By the rivers of Babylon, we sat and wept when we remembered Zion. There on the poplars we hung our harps, for there our captors asked us for songs. Our tormentors demanded songs of joy. They said, sing us one of the songs of Zion. How can we sing the songs of the Lord while in a foreign land? And you can imagine, just by reading these Psalms, the sense of loss, the pain, the frustration, the brokenness that the Israelites were feeling and going through at that time. And you can almost imagine what they were looking for. If I were to ask you, if you were to be an Israelite at that time, what would you be searching for? I was searching for my soulmates. My students were searching for a purpose behind why they should be studying and working so hard. But if you were put in that situation as an Israelite, exiled in Babylon, what do you think you will be searching for? If you were to read this lamentation, these psalms that they had, you will realize that they were looking for the past. They were looking for to go back to Zion, to be set free. A lot of times, we search for the past. Have you seen this movie? Inside Out, right? And this lady, she represents an emotion. What emotion does she represent for those of you who watched the movie? Nostalgia. Fantastic, right? Nostalgia is associated with this yearning and longing for the past. It's about the good old days, you know. And it tends to paint what happened in the past more positively than what's going to happen in the future. I think at some points in my journey, I was also searching for the past. I was telling myself, I wasn't asking God. God, how I wish, we could turn back time. Before Samantha discovered she has cancer. Now, every 3 months I have to go through this anxiety when we go and see the doctor for tests. Every 3 months, am I going to live my life like that for the next 10 years, 20 years? There's no hope in the future. How I wish we could go back to the past. Not just that, sometimes I do hope that when I was a JC student, I always hope that I was still back in secondary school. Hey, were the good old days, right? After school, I don't know what you guys do. We would play basketball, catch spiders. When it rained, we swim in the basketball court because it was flooded. Like, those good old days, we always look for the past. Perhaps some of us have gone through some difficult seasons in our life, some tribulation, and we don't see a future and a hope in God. And therefore we look for the past. We hope that we could go back to the past. And that was what the Israelites was feeling at that time. And imagine this was your yearning and this was your longing. You were searching for the past, and then come a prophet by the name of Hananiah. Let me read it for you in chapter 28, verse 1. For in the 5th month of the same year, the 4th year, early in the reign of Zedekiah, king of Judah, the prophet Hananiah, son of Ezra, who was from Gibeon, said to me in the house of the Lord in the presence of the priests and all the people, this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says, I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. Within 2 years, I will bring back to this place all the articles of the Lord's house that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, removed from here and took to Babylon. I will also bring back to this place Jehoiachin, son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, and all the other exiles from Judah who went to Babylon, declares the Lord. For I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. This is Hananiah the prophet, proclaiming that God told him that in 2 years' time, don't worry, Israelites, in 2 years' time, God will deliver you. God will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. The yoke of the king of Babylon means that the Israelites will be set free from the rule of Babylon. That was what Hananiah said to the people. But let's take a look at what Jeremiah said. Okay, Jeremiah responded in the next chapter very differently. This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, says to all those I carried into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses and settle down. Plant gardens and eat what they produce. Marry and have sons and daughters. Find wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage so that they too may have sons and daughters. Increase in number there. Do not decrease. Also, seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I have carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it. For if it prosper, you will prosper. Two very, very different prophecy for a group of people who were searching for the past. If you were an Israelite, which one will you choose to listen to? Which one will you choose to listen to? The Bible didn't record for us whom the Israelites were more inclined to. But I think if I was an Israelite and if I was yearning for a past where the good old days were, I would certainly be captivated by Hananiah. And in this picture you can see in the foreground that is Jeremiah carrying the yoke that represents Babylon's control over Israel. And then at the background, I'm not sure if you can see, that's Hananiah with the group of people with him together breaking down their yoke that represents freedom. Which prophecy will we choose to listen to? This is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel says, do not let the prophets and the diviners among you deceive you. Do not listen to the dreams you encourage them to have. They are prophesying lies to you in my name. I have not sent them, declares the Lord. This is what the Lord says. It's not 2 years, It's going to be 70 years. 70 years, when 70 years are completed for Babylon, I will come for you and fulfill my good promise to bring you back to this place. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you a hope and future. The hope and future in this context means that in 70 years' time, God will deliver Israel. Not 2 years. Not 2 years. What were the Israelites hoping and longing for? They were hoping and longing for the past. I think naturally so, if you were to look into the history of the Israelites, the past was a golden past for them. It was filled. Later on we will find out what the past meant for them. But more importantly, even in this past that they hope to, even in this past that God is going to so-called promise them in the future, in 70 years' time, we know, even in this thing that they were searching for, to go back to that place called Jerusalem, to have their own kingdom again. Even after 70 years, we know, as history records for us, Israel was never free. After the Babylonians came the Persian. After the Persian came Alexander the Great. The Greeks, and then after that, the Roman Empire during Jesus' time. And that was why, even when Jesus was entering into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, they welcomed him and they cheered for him, the King of Jews. Why? Because they thought that Jesus was coming as a military king, like a king that is like David and Solomon, the king that will bring them nation building all over again in this earthly world. The Israelites didn't see, or what they were hoping for, or what they were searching for, was something that wasn't meaningful in the past and that doesn't last. Let us bring us back to why. Why does the Israelite choose to believe in lies? Or why do Israelites, or even I myself, believe in things that are, or put my hope and my purpose in life into meaningless things about the past? Or even about the future? I think it's recorded very clearly for us. Many a times we believe in these lies because, I'm sorry to say, we were lied to. Who were the people that lied to the Israelites when they were in exile? It was the teachers. It was the prophets. It was people who we thought that would speak truth to us. But sometimes I wonder, is it really because they themselves have also believed in their lie? They didn't know that it was a lie. Some of the lies that happened within school, let's example, you can ask the children here. If you study hard, you get your A's, right? That's not true, right? Right? Yeah. But we dare not tell you, right? Because once we tell you, don't study also can get A, right? Yeah. In school, I think we are moving away from it as a system and as a fraternity. We are starting to realize that we shouldn't tell our students, hey, you study, you get your A. Let's change that lie. If you don't study, you won't get your A. Then what's going to happen to those who never study and get A? Okay, let's change our lies. You study, got higher chance of getting A. Right? And then if you get A, then you can go to the course of your dream. Then you get the job of your dream. You marry the man of your dreams, the house of your dreams. And then your children, that one, not possible for it. That one, out of control. But you see the kind of lies that even at school, even at home, parents, as a dad, some of the things that I tell my children, or my mom would have spoken to me, you must study hard, no future. Right? At home, in school, even in church, sometimes people tell lies. I give you an example. This happened last year to my son. My son was, last year is 7 years old. So boys, 7 years old, destructive force. Right? Don't know how to control their emotions, don't know how to differentiate between play. So he was playing with Uncle T-Rex, which is Brother Seichang. Do you remember that episode? They were having so much fun. And then my son used his bag and then just slammed it onto Uncle T-Rex's head. And then Uncle T-Rex knelt down on the floor. At first, all of us thought he was joking, having fun. But then it didn't feel right because we heard such a loud, big impact, pound sound, And then you were down on the floor for quite some time. Kneeling down on the floor. Then I saw blood. I said, oh, So my son did something wrong, right? Guess what was the response of the uncle and auntie? Uncle T said, hey, I think it was he was hugging my son. It's okay, Samuel. Huh? Why you tell my son it's okay? It's okay. I think he was scared that my son was scared. It shouldn't be my son hugging you and saying, hey, it's okay. Right. It doesn't make sense to me at that moment. I saw it and I said, Samuel Hon. And then the worship leader, today's worship leader, Juliana, came and said, hey, brother, calm down, it's okay. Okay? And then Sister Lacey, the ministry assistant, your wife, was explaining on behalf of Samuel, no, they are just playing, it's okay. They are just playing. Auntie Linda also came in. It's, boy, okay. Then my son stand down there. Hey, it's okay. Church leaders telling lies to a 7-year-old, Yeah, because so Juliana came to me and said, calm down, brother. I said, okay, I shall calm down. Wait till we go into the car, son. So we left the church. The son was in the car, the daughter was in the car, my wife, me. I was very quiet. And my children know when I'm very quiet, they get it. So how do you correct a lie so that my son won't believe in this? You use another lie. Son, did you do what you did? I said, yeah. Okay, you pray hard, okay? Because you hit Uncle T-Rex on the head, there was blood. If later he faint, he go to the hospital, the policeman will come. Okay? Did you do it purposely, son? No, I was just playing, yeah. Even though it is called first-degree murder. Whatever that means. But my son understands the word murder. Was he going to break down and cry? No, he didn't. So let's play bigger, right, son? Let's go out for lunch together as a family one last time. So I brought him out for lunch. I bought him this drink that on usual occasion you never get, unless birthday. I bought him Coke. Give him Coke. That was when I think my kids realized the seriousness of the situation. Who cried? Do you remember who cried? My daughter cried. The one did it, yeah. The lies that we tell out of goodwill, out of kindness. I'm just kidding. But guys, some of these things, because it's spoken to us time and time again, we believe in them. We believe that our life will be complete once you find a soulmate. We believe our life is complete once we can go back to the past, where all these things that was bad is gone. We don't believe in the future that God has given to us. A part of the reason why the past was so good, really, maybe for the Israelites, was because of this king, King Solomon. For those of us who don't know, I will believe that the height or the pinnacle of the Israelites nation would usually be attributed to the time where King David or King Solomon was in control. At that time, the country was so rich, they were filled with abundance, they were conquerors. It was said that every year recorded in the Bible, 666 talents of gold need to be paid in tribute to King Solomon. It was estimated in today's context after inflation is taken into account. We are estimating that King Solomon would have between 100 billion to 2 trillion US dollars worth of asset in today's context. That's how rich he is, right? And therefore you wouldn't blame the Israelites for wanting to go back to the past. You can't blame me for wanting to go back to a time where we didn't need to see the doctor every 3 months, right? So for a person like that, who was not living in the past, what do you think he was searching for? A person who had everything, what do you think he was searching for? He was searching for meaning. And we can see if we read the text, he tried so many things in the world to find meaning in. He looked at wisdom. And he realized that even when he was the wisest person in the world, it was meaningless because there was still injustice given his wisdom. He went into spending his time indulging himself in the pleasures of the world, engaging in parties, in drinking. It was said that he has thousands of concubines, but yet that didn't give him the satisfaction that he was looking for. He started to put his energy and his effort into working, achievement, and at the end of the day he realized that whatever he has achieved is meaningless because he can't bring it to the next world. He has to hand it over to the next person. And we see this being repeated again and again. Whatever he looked for in his abundance, he came to one conclusion. Everything in this world that he was looking for is meaningless. The Israelites were searching for a past where there was abundance. And here was a man living in abundance, had everything. In his search, he found out that everything is meaningless. Someone who had everything. What about someone who had nothing? Whose everything was taken away from him? Job. I think last week, Reverend Dr. Fong shared with us about Job, what he went through, right? And these were the things that he lost. He lost his wealth and property, all his livestock. He lost his children, 7 sons and 3 daughters. He lost his health. In this scenario, what do you think a man like Job will be searching for? In his tribulation, what was he going through? Spiritual anguish. Questioning his suffering and expressing his grief and confusion in his dialogue with his friends and with God. This was what he was going through. Hey, if you remember what I shared with you at the start, I was telling you that everything is meaningless. This search for the past is meaningless because King Solomon, who had everything, found out that everything was meaningless, then why, if what I said was true, then why, when Job lost everything, he was in anguish? Is it meaningless? Why was he in anguish? And you can read in Job 42. The Lord blessed the later part of Job's life more than the former part. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. And he also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. The first daughter he named Jeremiah, the second Keziah, and the third Kerine Hapuk. Nowhere in all the land were there found women as beautiful as Job's daughters, and their father granted them an inheritance along with their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years. He saw his children and their children to the 4th generation, and so as Job died. And so Job died, an old and man full of years. When we read this, and we look at what Job was feeling, it seems to contradict what Solomon was telling us, that everything was meaningless. Because if everything was meaningless, then when Job lost all these things, why would he be so upset? And when God restored everything to him, why does it seem like everything is okay now? I think the answer can be found in the names that Job gave his 3 daughters. Now you need to understand, at that time, nobody will record the names of your daughters. You will record the names of your sons. The sons will receive an inheritance, the daughters will not. But yet, the Bible clearly records the name of these 3 daughters. There must be a meaning behind why they were recorded. Jeremiah means a dove or peace. It means that Job had peace, at the end of it all. And Keziah means fragrance. It means something that is wonderful. And Kerine means beauty or beautiful. So when Job named his 3 daughters, there was peace in his heart. He could smell the fragrance of the world, and everything was beautiful to him. Was it because God has restored him? Right? If we read it like that, that's what we would think it would be. But I think as a dad, if God will take away Elizabeth one day, or take Samuel away, and then he give me 7 sons, does it mean then, therefore, I will feel okay and well? I don't think so. Yeah. Maybe if I lose a house, you give me 5 houses, okay. But if I were to lose a child and the compensation is God will give me back another 5 different child, I don't think that will make me find peace, find beauty, or find fragrance in the world anymore. What was Job really looking for? What helped him to find peace and beauty once again? Unlike Solomon, who was searching for meaning in life through worldly things, the Israelites were searching for past glories. Job was looking for an answer in that struggle, in that tribulation, in what we were going through as husband and wife. We were looking for an answer to where God is in this difficult season. And in Job 42, Job found that answer. Let me read to you. Then Job replied to the Lord, I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. You ask, who is this that obscures my plans without knowledge? Surely I spoke of things I did not understand things. Wonderful, too wonderful for me to know. You said, listen now and I will speak and I will question you and you shall answer me. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes. Job found in that tribulation, the thing that he was really looking for was, where are you, God? Did you really abandon me? Did you forget about me? Did you curse me like what my wife said? Did you abandon me like what my friend said? Is it because I've done something wrong? I believe that what truly gave him peace and beauty and restoration is when he said, my ears had heard of you, my eyes have seen you. To him, he found God has never left him. And in the same way, at the end of not just Job's church, Solomon's church in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, what Solomon concluded, now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or not. Solomon realized at the end of the day, he too will see God. What about us? Do we know what we are really looking for? Some of us may know, I'm looking for a good job, a good future. But are these things what we should be looking for? And these things that we are looking for, is it meaningful or not? To answer your question today, and to remind my wife again, to be very honest with you, I can tell you, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Let me explain. So I had to come up with a song that could speak to the older folks like us, and then still relate to the younger folks like them. This is from Sing 2, I think 2 years ago, right? And I want you to listen to this song and then look at the lyrics.
Have climbed the highest mountains. I have run through the fields only to be with you. Only to be with you. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
Oh, sorry. So for those of us who listen to music in the 80s, who's this band? Uncle James? You too, right? Yeah. Younger folks, have you watched this? Did you watch Sing 2? I think it was 2-3 years ago. Written by the band U2, Bono. This is the lead singer. He's a Christian. And if you listen to some of his songs do carry the about his faith, you know. And when he wrote this, he was journaling down his own journey, seeking and searching. I have climbed highest mountains, I have run through the fields only to be with you. I have run, I have crawled, I have scaled these city walls only to be with you. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. He has run, he has tasted success, he has crawled, he was humble in his defeats. In success and in defeats, he did not find what he was looking for. I have kissed honey lips, felt the healing in her fingertips. It burned like fire, burning desire. I spoke with the tongues of angels. I held the hand of a devil. It was warm in the night, but I was cold as a stone. He has tasted many things of this world. He has even given in to temptations and done things that were wrong. In all these things that he did, as a celebrity, as a rich person, his conclusion is he haven't found what he was looking for. And then he talked about his faith. I believe in the kingdom come. Then all the colors will bleed into one. The day where we will be reunited, he believed that all of us will be together again. He's still running. He talked about how Christ broke the bonds, how he has loosened the chains of sins and carried the cross for him, of his shame. He believes it. But yet, he still makes this final statement. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. How can a Christian say that? How can Robin say that? How can Mr. Hon say that if you are a Christian? I think, if I did not interpret him wrongly, this answer can be found in what C.S. Lewis shared. This was a quote by C.S. Lewis. If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, then the most probable reason for that is because this desire can only be met, not in this world, but in the other world. You see, it is only natural when a baby is hungry, he desires and searches for food. That hunger and that desire can be met with something that is existing, which is food. If you are thirsty, that thirst, that desire for water to quench your thirst, can be met with water. If you are tired and you desire for rest, then that desire can be met with rest and sleep. So it is impossible in my understanding that when we have a desire, a need met, a search for something, but yet there is nothing out there that could satisfy it. So if you are searching, if we are searching, and we haven't found what we were searching for, something that could not meet that sense of loss and meaningless, it is really not because we can never find it, but rather it is because we were made for the other world. And until the day where we meet Jesus again, I'm sorry to say that you will never be able to experience that meaning. You will never be able to experience that meaning. But I look forward to that day. So in conclusion, thank God. Yeah, Auntie May has been keeping check on me. I know. In conclusion, so since in this world, everything is meaningless, then Mr. Hon, why do I need to study so hard? Right? Just wait for the day to come, so that I won't get into trouble with the school. Remember, God tells us through Ecclesiastes, even though everything here is meaningless, even though King Solomon would have advised us and told us, God would have told us through King Solomon, he still tells us, eat your food with gladness. Drink your wine with a joyful heart, for God has already approved what you do. Always be clothed in white, do good things. Always anoint your head with oil. Enjoy life with your wife, whom you love, all the days of this meaningless life that God has given you under the sun. All your meaningless days, for this is your lot in life and your wholesome labor under the sun. Whatever your hands finds to do, do it with all your might. Okay?